When my kids were growing up, there were some people in the church that said,
"Well, you should only date the person you intend to marry."
What a load of rubbish! What a load of codswallop! The whole idea of going out on a date is to 1. Share some fun with a friend. 2. Find out if that friend is someone you'd like to share more fun with. And 3. Find out if they are the person you would like to marry. Now I realise that things have changed since I was young. The movies I watched when I was a boy was, well, boy meets girl, and at the end of it, if all worked out, they kissed. Today in the movies, boy meets girl, and then the next scene, they're in bed together. I told my kids that sex before marriage was not on.
Hey, cut it out, you two.
But certainly, meeting and going out with the opposite sex was a normal part of growing up and of building relationships. As an example, I would tell them of my first 4 dates with the girl that would become their mother, and how I learned something new about her each time. I initially met her through a friend. Story number 62, my persistent friend, look it up. And he kept encouraging me to meet up with her. But life was busy for me. But one day I did meet her at university. We had a drink together. I learned that she was finding university lonely, so I invited her to attend a meeting with me the next day. She did. And then I offered to take her home. She agreed. I found that I really enjoyed her company, so I invited her on a date to a local restaurant in her area so we could get to know each other better. The day before my date, my mate Chris, the guy that had introduced us, was over at my place. We played a game of pool, and as he was leaving, he said,
"So I'll see you tonight at the restaurant."
"No, you won't. I'm off on a date with Robin."
"No, Robin's invited my wife and I too."
"She's probably got cold feet." So my first date was a foursome. What did they say? 2's company, 3's a crowd, and 4, well, nothing's going to happen. But it wasn't a total disaster. It was still fun going out to a restaurant with friends. And I learnt that she was cautious. She wasn't a great risk taker. I learnt about how she related to my friends. I saw how smart she was, how she could hold our interest when she spoke. I enjoyed her company. And, well, she laughed at my jokes. So when I took her home, I too was cautious and simply asked her if she would like to go out again, but this time just with me. She said yes. So I took her to see a James Bond movie. I mean, what girl would not love to watch James Bond? We held hands in the theatre, and that night we kissed. Aww. And I learnt that James Bond wasn't really her thing, though she said she enjoyed her time with me. We found we had some common views, aspirations, passions, and she laughed at my jokes. So I invited her on a 3rd date, a trip out with my friends to the motor show. I mean, what girl wouldn't love a motor show? Hot cars with girls lying over their bonnets in bikinis. I saw how she related to my friends. I saw how she managed an unfamiliar environment. I learned more about her, how quickly she could adapt to new things. I was impressed by how clever she was. And she laughed at my jokes. After I dropped off my friends, we'd all travelled together in my father's combi that I'd borrowed that night. As we said our good nights at her place, I said, "Well, we've gone out 3 times now, and it's been me choosing what we do. Tell me, what would you like to do?" And you'll never guess what she said. She said, "I'd like us to go to the ballet." Now, I'd grown up at the boys' home. I knew absolutely nothing about ballet. So I said, "Oh, sure, I'll take you to the ballet." And that night I went home and asked my family, "How do you go to the ballet? Where do you buy tickets? What do you wear?" Well, we went to the ballet, and I learnt a lot. I learnt that this girl was cultured, musical, had refined tastes. She probably wasn't a James Bond motor show kind of girl. But even so, she seemed to like me. And I learnt that I liked ballet. I loved live theatre. And I enjoyed having a girl that expanded my horizons. I learned that she could teach me new things. I started to learn what sort of guy I needed to be to keep her interested. Oh, and she laughed at my jokes. My point for telling you this is that every date taught me something new about this gorgeous girl and about the person I was and needed to be. Things ultimately developed to a point where I could not imagine life without her. Now, there were other girls before. There was that exceptionally pretty girl, but I'd had better conversations with an indoor plant. And then there had been other dates, where at the end, one of us, usually the girl, decided that there was better fun to be had with someone else. But that's what the dates are about. They're about learning about the other person and learning about yourself and learning how you relate together. They can be fantastic or disappointing. Afterwards, you may feel elated or rejected. But each time you will have learnt about someone else, about yourself, and about how to understand the needs of another person. So if there is a person that you like, don't be scared, ask them out. If they say no, well, that's their loss. They missed out on learning about you. And if they say yes, enjoy your time with them. Learn about them. Learn about yourself. Always treat them with respect. And who knows, they may even laugh at your jokes. When I told this to my kids, they would say, "But Dad, Mum never laughs at your jokes." And my wife would say, "Well, after you've heard all 4 of them 100 times, they start not to be so funny." Thanks for watching. If you like my stories, subscribe to my channel and post a like. And God bless.